The sun gleamed off the tinted windows of a Rolls-Royce Phantom parked in the heart of Banana Island. Inside, Jide Banjo, the only son of Chief Jide Banjo, a Lagos real estate mogul, stared out into the world he barely understood. At 32, Jide had it all: looks, wealth, influence, and the attention of every socialite in the city. Yet something eluded him: genuine love. Every woman he'd met seemed drawn to the glitz, not the man behind the billions. His father had offered to arrange a marriage, but Jide declined. He wanted to find someone who would love him, not his last name. Tired of shallow encounters, Jide devised a plan that shocked even his closest friend, Depo. He would vanish from the elite world for 6 months, leaving behind his luxury, his security, and even his personal assistant. With a fake name, Tond, he would live in the mainland area of Yoba, dressed in thrift market clothes, jobless and modest. "You're mad, oh," Depo had laughed when Jide told him. But the billionaire's son was resolute. That night, as he trimmed his neatly kept beard to look scruffier and traded his designer loafers for sandals, he felt excitement bubble inside him. For once, he would face the real Lagos, its chaos, its laughter, its heart, without the cushion of money. The streets awaited. Jide stepped off the dusty Danfo bus and into the rhythm of Yoba, a bustling blend of shouting traders, honking vehicles, and students dashing across the street. He wore a faded polo shirt and threadbare jeans, his once shiny shoes now replaced by plastic sandals. The air smelt of fried plantain, exhaust fumes, and sweat. As he navigated the crowded streets, no one gave him a second glance. For the first time in his life, he was invisible. He had rented a small room in a rundown bungalow, sharing compound space with a noisy mechanic, a tailor, and an old woman who sold akara in the mornings. The room was hot and had no air conditioning. At night, he lay on his narrow mattress, mosquitoes buzzing in his ears. Yet, in this discomfort, he felt alive. He started mingling with street vendors, buying puff-puff from Momankechi and water sachets from a boy named Sonkanmi. Though he introduced himself as Tond, some began calling him "Fine Boy No Job," a nickname that would soon spread. By the second week, Jide had seen it all: mocking eyes, dismissive glances, even outright insults. At a roadside eatery, a lady selling roasted corn scoffed at him, "See fine boy like you know they work. Obi you dey wait for sugar mommy." Another girl at the suyo stand laughed with her friends when he tried to strike up a conversation, saying, "Abeg shift, we know they follow broke boys talk." The constant mockery stung more than he expected. He had never been looked down upon before. Yet, he took every insult in stride, telling himself this was part of the process. He even began writing his experiences in a small notebook he carried. He reminded himself that love built on truth was worth all this. But deep inside, he wondered if any woman would ever see beyond the surface of a jobless man in Lagos. It was on a rainy afternoon that he found shelter in a small second-hand bookstore tucked behind Tejuosho Market. As he browsed through tattered books, he noticed a young woman arranging shelves with care. She had no makeup, wore simple braids, and dressed modestly in a navy blue skirt and blouse. Her name tag read Amaka. She glanced at him curiously but didn't ask questions. Instead, she offered him a warm smile and went back to her work. Intrigued, Jide returned the next day, and the next. They began exchanging words over paperbacks and poetry. Unlike the others, Amaka never asked what he did for a living. She seemed more interested in what books he liked and how he thought. It was refreshing. For the first time, Jide felt seen, truly seen. Weeks passed, and Jide's bond with Amaka deepened. He helped her rearrange the store during her long shifts, carried books, and even bought small lunch packs they would share on the bench outside. One afternoon, a rude customer accused Amaka of shortchanging him. Jide intervened, calmly defending her. After the man left, Amaka looked at him with new respect. "Thank you," she said quietly. Jide felt proud but restrained himself from revealing his identity. It wasn't time. Later, Amaka confided in him about her life, how she was caring for her younger siblings after her parents died, how she worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. She spoke with dignity, never self-pity. Jide was awed. She was everything he had hoped for: strong, kind, real. When Jide discovered it was Amaka's birthday, he saved up for days and surprised her with a homemade cake and a second-hand novel by her favorite author. Amaka was touched. She held the gift close to her chest and said, "Ton, no one has done anything this thoughtful for me in a long time." As they sat on the bookstore steps that evening, Jide felt the tug in his heart grow stronger. It was becoming more than just admiration. But the guilt of lying about his identity loomed over him. How could he build something real on a foundation of deceit? Jide stumbled upon an opportunity to work as an assistant at a mechanic's shop. Though the job was tough and the pay meager, he accepted it. Amaka was proud of him, not knowing this man once sat in boardrooms with CEOs. She praised his humility, and he felt torn, happy to be seen for his character, yet anxious about the growing web of lies. Despite the sweat and grease, Jide found solace in the simplicity of his new routine. Every evening he'd visit Amaka, and she'd listen to his stories with laughter and warmth. Their bond deepened, but so did his fear of the truth unraveling everything. A neighbor, Shola, began suspecting Jide wasn't who he claimed to be. He noticed Jide's good manners, the occasional expensive cologne, and the way he spoke English fluently. Shola began spreading rumors, whispering that Ton was either a fraud or on the run. Though Jide tried to ignore it, the whispers reached Amaka. She gently confronted him, asking, "Are you hiding something?" Jide panicked and denied it, but her eyes told him she didn't entirely believe him. Chief Jide Banjo, tired of the charade, sent Depo to drag Jide back to the island. Depo found him at the mechanic's shop and caused a scene. Amaka witnessed the confrontation and was shocked. "Turned. Or should I say Jide Banjo?" she asked, voice trembling. Jide's word crumbled. The truth he tried so hard to hide was out. Amaka's expression was unreadable, part betrayal, part disbelief. Amaka refused to speak to him. She felt betrayed, not just by the lie, but by the realization that he had tested her without her consent. "You made me fall for a man who never existed," she said. Jide tried to explain his intentions, his longing for true love. But Amaka wasn't ready. She needed space. Jide returned to Banana Island, but nothing felt the same. The mansion was silent. The wealth tasted sour. Days turned into weeks. Jide wandered through his father's mansion, haunted by memories of laughter and books and Amaka's smile. His father lectured him on pride and legacy, but Jide didn't care. Nothing mattered without Amaka. He sent her messages, but she didn't reply. He even visited the bookstore, only to find it closed indefinitely. Her absence was more painful than any insult he'd endured in Yoba. While driving incognito one evening, Jide saw Amaka at a bus stop, looking tired and pale. He parked far away and watched her. She looked thinner. Against his better judgment, he approached. She was surprised, but not angry. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. They spoke briefly. She still didn't trust him, but the walls were thinner than before. Jide decided to use his resources differently. He created a foundation to support small bookstores and informal education centers in underserved Lagos neighborhoods. He named it Amaka Reads. The news spread fast. Amaka heard of it through a friend. She was shocked. She couldn't believe he'd done it, but she also couldn't deny that it moved her. Unable to face her yet again, Jide wrote Amaka a heartfelt letter. He poured out everything, his plan, his pain, his remorse, his hopes. He didn't ask for forgiveness, only understanding. He delivered it to her younger brother at the new bookstore she now worked at. For days, he waited. One morning, Jide received a handwritten envelope. Inside was an invitation to a local reading event, hosted by Amaka. At the bottom, she had scribbled, "Hope you'll attend." His heart leapt. Jide arrived at the event early. Amaka took the stage to read a short story about betrayal, healing, and unexpected love. Her eyes met his briefly as she read, and he could feel the words were meant for him. Afterward, she approached him, calm but guarded. "I needed to say it in front of others," she said. "To forgive myself, and maybe, to forgive you too." Jide began courting her again, this time with full honesty. He showed up to events she hosted, supported her siblings' education, and remained humble. Amaka didn't make it easy. She had questions. He answered everyone. Slowly, she began to smile more when he was around. She even began calling him Jide again. Jide started spending time in Amaka's world again, not as a disguise, but as a partner. He helped her with her bookstore project, read with children on weekends, and learned to appreciate her perspective. One day she said, this is the man I fell for. Not because of money. Because you listen. Jide invited Amaka to his home, not the mansion, but a modest bungalow on the outskirts, one he was renovating as his future home. This is where I want to start my real life, he said. Amaka was touched. She saw he wasn't hiding in wealth anymore. He was using it to build meaning. Just as things seemed perfect, Chief Aled announced Jide's engagement to the daughter of a fellow billionaire. Jide was furious. I've chosen my path, he said. But the scandal reached the press. Amaka was humiliated. I can't be part of this circus, she said, withdrawing again. Jide publicly rejected the engagement. He held a press conference, revealing his journey and his choice of love over status. I won't let wealth decide who I marry, he declared. Amaka watched from afar. Her heart trembled. Jide appeared at Amaka's home just before sunrise. He knelt. I know you're tired of this drama. But you're the only peace I've ever known. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't speak, but she reached out and touched his face. They began planning the bookstore's expansion together, launching new reading centers and author workshops. People began to see them as a power couple, not in wealth, but in purpose. Amaka finally met Jide's mother, who embraced her warmly. He's different because of you, she said. Jide and Amaka hosted a community celebration at the first Amaka Reads library. No flashy guests, just kids, neighbors, and books. It was the happiest day of Jide's life. He gave a short speech. I came to Yoba looking for love. I found a purpose. As they grew closer, Amaka had doubts. How can I fit in your world? She asked one night. You already are my world, Jide replied. And we'll build a new one together. She smiled, but her fears lingered. Depo, once Jide's arrogant cousin, visited Amaka privately. He's never fought for anything the way he's fought for you, he admitted. You've changed him. Amaka nodded, surprised. Even his family was beginning to understand. At the original bookstore where they met, Jide recreated their first conversation. He handed her a book with a velvet ring box inside. This time, no lies, no tests. Just truth. Will you marry me? Amaka burst into tears. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. They had a modest wedding in a garden library, surrounded by children, friends, and pages of stories. No paparazzi, no billionaire display. Just love. When Jide kissed Amaka, it was as if every chapter had led to this sentence. They continued their work with reading centers. Jide started writing a memoir. Amaka ran book fairs. Their love was calm, like a quiet library full of warmth. Sometimes they'd walk through Yoba holding hands, and nobody called him fine boy no job anymore. One afternoon, a young girl approached them. Are you the people who built this? She asked, gesturing to a reading corner. Jide knelt beside her. Yes, because someone once believed in me when I was pretending to be nothing. Amaka smiled, watching the man she once called turned become everything she never knew she needed. And just like that, the last page turned, and their forever began.
There are a lot of lessons to be learned from this story. I would love to hear your opinion in comment section. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and press the red button to subscribe to my channel. Bye.